Welcome back to the FIT LIKE KRYS Podcast. I am joined today by a special guest, and even more special for just other reasons, and we're going to get into all of them today. But I first want to say thank you so much for listening and for tuning in. And if you are not having an amazing day already, it's about to get better, because that's what happens when you listen to the FIT LIKE KRYS Podcast. So take a moment right now to like, share, and then like and share again. And thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to listen to us. And I hope that by the end of this, you're left a little bit more inspired than before you came, because we have a really good topic and a really amazing person to shed a little bit of light on that topic. Oh my goodness. I should have asked you how you wanted to be introduced, because I could go into so many different ways to introduce this amazing superstar of a woman, but I actually am going to have her introduce herself. But before that, Alex, I just want to...
I am obsessed with the hashtag.
I just want to scroll back.
Ooh, is that what I sound like?
to February 5th of 2020. This was after... What was the challenge called? So I met Alex via Instagram, like actually how I met a lot of my people in my online wellness community. I started doing challenges during COVID. I can't watch videos of myself. And you did one, and you were obsessed.
Yep. Here I am.
And you're still, you're still here.
Still part of the crew.
Yeah, and you're so supportive, and you've always been so supportive. You made one of my absolute biggest dreams come true, being on the news. That was like the highlight, one of the highlights of my, I think that was this year, last year?
It was 2024.
2024. So this year-ish. My annual year, I think I was 40 when I did it. And when we first did a live, and I think after this, I'm going to watch the live that we did, but you were just talking about the challenge and how much you loved it. And then from then on, you were just kind of like part of the crew, and here you are, and you've done so much since then. And now you're in this really cool transition that I can't wait to see where it ends up. But before we go into that, just tell us, what's your bio? What's your bio now?
My like blanket statement when I meet people is like, hi, my name is Alex. I'll be taking care of you this evening. Can I get you started with some waters? I'm just kidding. I'm working at a restaurant. I'm working at a restaurant. No, and then I say, when people are like, oh my God, are you on TV? I said, not right now. I'm in a very transitional phase of life. So it's so funny that we're having this conversation and you're telling me the theme of the podcast, because this has been a very transitional 7-ish months of life for me. I'm 34 years old. I face very little to no adversity, I will say. I say that like half jokingly, but like I've had a pretty great life. And then at the end of 2024, shit got flipped upside down. I can curse on here.
You can curse.
Because I can't do it on television, so it's gonna come out hard. My
listeners like that.
All right, good. Fuck. Just kidding. Sorry, Mom. Let me sit up straight so she doesn't yell at me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. So I'm just in a transitional phase of life, and now having conversations with so many people, you chief among, like you've been with me from the beginning of the end to now. It is crazy how many people have also kind of gone through not the exact same, but so much of a similar kind of clusterfuck situation where the universe is like, hey, we're gonna just come in and shake things up because you're not listening, and this is what you're doing right now in life and work and personal, everything is not working, and it's not sustainable, and you're not doing anything about it for yourself. So we're intervening. And then so now I'm just like, okay, I'm listening.
We're going to go a little back and forth, because I don't want to forget questions, but I also want to get to other stuff. But what was the message that the universe, do you think, was trying to tell you? Do you know that yet?
Not fully.
Okay.
I think about it every day.
Okay.
And sometimes like alone in my house, I'm just like, what do you want me to do? Give me a sign. But I've done everything. I'm in therapy. Shout out to Danica. I love her, my therapist. I have gotten back in touch with my faith, which was something that, like, you know, I'm born and raised Catholic in New Jersey, like
Mm-hmm.
did my first communion, all that
Get
jazz.
confirmation.
And then it's been Christmas and Easter since then, if that. So now I've been like kind of getting more in touch with that, not like traditional religion, but more in like spirituality and just kind of like looking for signs and the deeper meaning in things, and really just being more intentional in everything in life. And I know that's something that you're big on too, especially because I've done your challenges, and that's like kind of like a huge pillar of them is just
Yeah.
like, not to get too far off topic, but yeah, I'm just trying to ride the wave and live in the moment and be open and say yes and listen to my gut and kind of do all those little things while also trying to pay attention to the bigger message and just continue to put myself out there and see what is next in store for me, because I know it's going to be something great. I know I'm going to be fine. Right now it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
It feels a little rocky.
Yep.
Like we might have got off the wrong exit.
Yeah.
But it's fine. I mean, it's gotten better. I'm saying it's fine now. It was not fine the last few months. I was like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
I feel so unstable mentally, physically, emotionally. Now I'm kind of like, oh, this is my new normal for now. And so I'm just rolling with the punches and seeing what comes my way and who comes my way.
So how long were you in television?
I've been in the industry I started in radio. Been in the industry for like, let's see, it's February 2025. A little over 10 years. 2014, I made my foray into the broadcast industry.
So before that, you were only a couple years out of college. What did you do before that?
I was like 6 months out of college before I started in radio, but I was actually, we've come full circle. I was working at a different restaurant back by where I grew up, and
Good money.
yes, working
Great money.
exactly. I love cash.
Yeah.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Cash rules everything around me.
me.
Get the money. Dollar bills.
Yeah.
So I was working in a restaurant, nannying, and working in radio part-time until I got a full-time radio gig, and then was like making no money. So I was like, sick. I miss working in a restaurant. I miss having 3 jobs and running around. Yeah, I'm the weird kid who knew like from age 10 that like what I wanted to do. So college, everything, we were on the trajectory of broadcast.
So broadcast is, I mean, radio, TV.
Now it's podcasting too.
Yeah. So like
Influencing, I guess.
So you did that for that long up until last year. The past year, you've been in transition, kind of feeling the world out, trying to listen a little more to maybe what you're supposed to be doing, or maybe what path makes more sense for you. Do you think it's in broadcast, but in a different?
100%. And this is something, I'm so glad that you asked that question, because this is something where everyone's like, where are you? Are you coming back to TV? Yes. The answer is yes. I know in my gut, I know in my heart, I know with every fiber of my being that it's my true calling, it's my purpose. I know that when I'm in it, I mean, you've done it with me.
Yes.
Twice now.
Yes.
You've been on TV twice.
Yes. It'll be a third time too in your new.
Yes, exactly. Thank you. Manifesting.
Yeah.
I just feel like when I'm live, when I'm doing it, when I'm walking in my gift.
Yes.
That's when I feel the most alive and the most electric. And it's crazy because I'm actually dead because I wake up at 2:00 in the morning. But like, it's just, when you it's like one of those, not to be trite, but like when you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Right.
You know very well.
Yep.
And that's how I felt. Like, it's not glamorous. It's exhausting. It's a lot of hard work. It was 10 years until I made, it was honestly probably 7 years till I made my big break. Like, it was a lot of overnights, holidays, weekends, making no money, being in the city at 3:00 in the morning, then being back in Jersey for a radio shift, just to like doing whatever I had to do to make ends meet, a hustle, a grind. And then I got there and I was doing it and I was making good money. And I was like, this is so amazing. That my life is perfect. I'm so happy. And then it was kind of like, but am I?
Right.
There was all these little things that were popping up. And at the same time, like, I was going through a lot in my personal life. I was going through a lot professionally. And so that is kind of where the universe intervened. I had my first panic attack driving down 42nd Street at like 12:00 in the afternoon. I pulled over like in Times Square, like 42nd and 8th. I thought I was having a heart attack. I was like, Mom, I think you need to call 911 or something. Meanwhile, my mom's like in North Carolina. I'm like, she's like, you call 911. You're in the city. There's probably like 8 police officers outside of your car.
Ambulance right next to
I know.
you.
I was like, she's like, what's wrong? I was like, I can't catch my breath. I can't breathe. I was like, my chest is tightening. I think I'm having a heart attack. She's like, just breathe. I sat on the phone with her like 10 minutes. I like now in hindsight, I see it was a panic attack because that was like the beginning of the end. That was probably in the spring of last year. And then the summer is where everything was just flipped upside down and brought me kind of back to like, not to square one. I didn't go back. It just kind of like brought me to a big halt.
Yeah.
I already forget the question that you asked me, and this is what I do. I yap and I ramble.
Oh, it's perfect.
But
I think you're answering the question, and it's bringing me to, because as you're taking me through this journey, you're in this transition phase, and you're starting over. And I think a lot of people look at starting over like black and white. Opposite, but it's like you want to go in the same exact industry, you want to do the same thing, but yet you're starting over. So how, like,
and that's something. And thank you for bring the train back on the tracks here. You're such a wow. You have a future in this.
Thank you so much.
That's a great question, because if you asked me that like 3 months ago, I would have been so self-conscious. I would have not had the confidence to say, no, I'm fine. I didn't fail. It's not like I climbed this huge mountain and I'm at like one of the last summits of Everest here and I just fell back to the start. No. I'm frozen in time where I was. I can only go to a different summit or up. And the reason that the universe, shout out to my therapist for helping me realize that. Again, I love her.
Really,
she should get paid for this.
Really good.
Like every time I mention her name, I'm just kidding. But she helped me realize that. And I, straight up, I went through more than one trauma. I had a series of traumas occur to me personally all at once. And so it's crazy what mental health in general is so nuts. Yeah. And we talk about it, and I've talked about it, and I've been an advocate for it forever. Like, I know it's like trendy and woo woo, but like until you are like walking in it, you don't realize how precious your mental health is. Because I didn't recognize myself when I woke up in the morning when all this happened to me. I'll just say it. Like I've those who know, I got fired from my job in August, my dream job. I've made mistakes. I made mistakes. Did I deserve what happened to me? No. It's so fucked. But while it was devastating,
you never would have left.
Thank you. While it was devastating and I thought my life was over and a bunch of other crazy shit fell apart to the ground because like in hand with that, I was like, this is a blessing in disguise. And shout out to my amazing coworkers there who I still keep in touch with, who called me immediately and they're like, you got out. They were the ones that were like, the universe did something really fucked up for you. It's not, obviously this wasn't the ideal way, but you never would have left. And you were in a situation that wasn't sustainable. You were killing yourself. And yes, you love what you do. Did I love where I was doing it? Absolutely not. Did I love the people who I was doing it for? Absolutely not. I lost track of my why. I'm a yapper. I'm a storyteller. I say this not with no airs about me. I have an innate ability to connect with people, to get people to open up to me, to feel comfortable, to trust. And so that is what creates beautiful.
And I'm going to stop you, because my observation and everything you just said about why the universe intervened and that you're not there anymore, I agree with. And when I went on set and I did, 5 minutes with you, both times that I did it, which were completely different. One was really planned and one was not at all.
Welcome to live television.
I have been in and around that industry before this industry. I was in the nightlife industry and I've been in and around that. And I think I've heard a lot of people say that they're really good with people, and I've experienced people that are really good with people. But just being on stage with you, the way that you are is so good. Like, you're so good, like alarmingly good. And I think I'm so happy to hear you say like, yes, that's definitely what I'm going to do, because I couldn't imagine you doing anything else.
Same.
You're just it is what you're supposed to be doing. And that's so clear, and especially clear when you're in rooms and next to, and I don't want to compare, but it's hard not to. It's just, you can tell the difference when the mic switches kind of thing. Like, you just have a really unique, that a lot of people have, but I want to give you your, flowers. And like, you have that too. And you have this ability to command and to grab people's attention and to make people, be interested in what you're saying.
Thank you. And I feel that way too, and not in a way that's like, oh, I'm so great and I'm better than everyone else, but I feel like in the way, this is going to sound insane, but imposter syndrome is so real no matter what industry you're in.
Yep.
I'm like, this is so crazy. I was like, I feel like I don't even work. I feel like I don't even have a job, because like, I love just like chit-chatting with people and having these really fun conversations. And yeah, well, there's always a plan. There's a production meeting. It's like, these are the questions, depending on who it is. Like, it's a little more rigid sometimes. And it's like, these are the talking points. And then I get talking and I'm like, you know what? Like, you just said so. And then we go off on a tangent, and it's beautiful television, and it's entertaining. It's engaging. It's like encouraging. It's all those things. And I'm just like,
oh, sorry. I forgot the most important thing that I wanted to say.
hold my hand.
Yeah, I knew Drew Barrymore vibes.
I know.
Like, I knew, I was thinking at the time, I'm like, this is, and I love that it was your dream job, but it wasn't big enough for you. I'm like, she needs to be like doing something else. Like, you need to be on a bigger platform with more people listening and more. There was somebody that was working there at the time that was talking about the show, and he was telling me about, what it was and what it's become. And I was just like, this girl needs to be on a bigger platform. I felt that it was too small for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I agree too. Listen, I got a big personality. You can't,
Jersey needs
you
a
can't
bigger
put it in a box. You can't put me in a box. And I was just being pigeonholed into so many ways. I was getting to do what I love, but they were like, but you also have to do this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. I've been doing this for 10 years. Like, what is a career if there's no growth?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
And thank you, because that's the goal. And that's why I don't have an answer for like, the universe I'm trying to listen to what it's telling me, and I don't know what it is yet, because I know I cannot go back and just do what I was doing. And that's why I'm still like fun employed as far as broadcast television, that is all concerned, because I'm being super selective, super picky. I've literally never not worked for a shitty boss. I'm just saying it. I'm not going to call out anyone's names. But if you know, you know. I've never, like, as simple as that. So I'm like, when I go on, I'm interviewing out the ass.
Yeah.
When I'm talking to them, I'm like, what are 3 things that your employees would say management and the company is doing well?
You're
and
interviewing men.
Possibly about? Yeah. And what are like a couple of things that, what do you think the top 2 complaints are? What are things they could see improvement on? And everyone's like, oh, damn, you just flipped the script. Because I'm like, I want to know what I'm getting into. I don't need you. You need me. And I'm not going to go and just like put up with who's ever in those corner offices, and people who don't believe in me and they don't see my talent, my potential, and my growth, and give me what I am worth and deserve and have worked for my whole life.
Right.
No. And so that's huge. I'm like, yeah, money is nice. There's been a lot of offers where it's like, this is a great job. Can't do it for the money. But number one is going to be, tie for first is the money and the culture.
Yeah.
And the management regime. The industry of television has come a long way, but there's still so much further for it to go. And it's so sad, because you see shops that have like women in charge and everyone's like, yay. Doesn't mean that they're saints.
Right.
There are some women out there who are running the show who are horrible, toxic, manipulative, gaslighty AF. And it's like, wow, let's not put somebody in charge just because they're a woman to like appease Gen Pop. Let's put the right people in place that have the vision, the growth mindset, like move it. The other huge thing is why I haven't settled down again yet, is because people are so stuck in what linear television has been and what it was. I'm like getting really like shop talk now, and I'll keep this short, but
okay.
Like look at how podcasting has exploded. Look at how Instagram. People are like hosting shows on Instagram, on Amazon. Like the landscape of media in general is not what it was
And it's
last
constantly
year,
changing.
5 years ago. And it's constantly changing. And there are a lot of like linear television stations, newsroom shops, news directors who don't get that. And people see Netflix and Amazon and streaming, and they're like, look at CNN. CNN launched CNN Plus. That shit folded in 6 months. Just because monkey see, monkey do. You see Fox, ABC, NBC doing it doesn't mean you can just. No, you you need to have a plan. You can't just say, "Oh, we're going to launch a streaming," and then just recycle content. No, you have. It's fresh eyes. It's a fresh audience, and it's just like you. A lot of places, I'm like, do you understand the vision of where broadcast and the industry are going, or no? Because
and I know you. I know you want to be on TV, but it also sounds like you have sort of a director. Do you have interest in like directing a show or being a producer? Or
probably like a Kris Jenner, like I whatever I'm getting involved in, if it's going to be like that kind of realm, it's like I need to have an executive producer title on that because I got to have a say in what I'm doing and what I am not doing.
Right.
This season of transition is all about know your worth and don't accept anything less.
I think there's a thin line with that, and I just want to make it clear for people listening: the knowing your worth, you put in the work for that. Right.
Yeah.
Like
it's earned, not given.
But I think that there are people out there and different generations operate a different way.
Just read my mind.
Where they step in and they're like, and you're like, what have you done? But you did the work, which is where this is coming from. This isn't a false sense of confidence. This is like a work-based.
Exactly. And thank you, because I normally do the walk back and clarify, and people are like, no, don't explain yourself. Like, your
I think
groundwork
it's important to explain, because there are people that will then podcasts, TV shows, radio, my fitness classes, Instagram. You could have 10 people following you. You're an influencer. People listen to you and what you say. And so it's important to clarify, because someone will go walk into an interview and be like, what are you offering me, when they haven't done the 10 years of work? So it's just important to clarify, like the value and the worth. Like, we all are deserving and worthy of love and respect and all of that. And there's a certain amount of work that everybody, you can't just walk in and think you're the prize, right? Like, there
100%.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yes, that is a thin line. Exactly. And so many good points you just brought up there. And so I think, it's a generational thing for sure. And I think that also something that people will see when you're going out and you're interviewing and you're talking to different people in charge and whatever, they see how you hold yourself, the kinds of questions that you're asking, what you're looking for. Yeah, your resume or it's a piece of paper. I spent with Tara Burney. Shout out to Tara Burney.
Okay.
She and I spent like weeks going over my resume, fine tuning it, making sure it was perfect for my little rebrand.
She's also in TV, or was.
She's talk about somebody who's transitioned and pivoted and like reinvented herself successfully so many times. And she's like, girl, do you know how many jobs I've lost in your industry? Like, shit.
Yeah.
It's tough out there on the streets. But she was like, it seems insane that we have to like go, like every little word matters because it's a piece of paper and they'll probably glance at it. But it's just, that's important. That gets you in the door. But, if you are genuine and authentic and you have put in the work and you've been around the block and you've, kind of learned the way of the world and the ropes, and then that's how you're presenting wherever you're finding a job or trying to find a job, that also speaks for itself.
Yeah, because people can do the work and still be insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also why I wanted to make the difference, because like, if you have put in the work, there's a level of confidence that you can absolutely have. It's not cocky. It's not misplaced. It's you worked for it. So there's so many people that have worked so hard and they're still insecure.
Yes. And that goes back to the imposter syndrome thing too. And I think that's just something that the only thing that can help with that is like therapy and just like doing a lot of work on yourself, because I've spoken to so many people who work in radio, who work in television, who are like presidents and CEOs of companies, and have their own very successful brands that we all know, and they experience it too. They're like, well, why do I get to be here in this room at this table? And I'm like, bitch, what? Because you did all this hard work.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, see how you're like, wait, no, that's a no-brainer. Like, it's so much easier to like gas other people up. Like, you got to gas yourself up too. If you are, if you know that you've worked hard, like, gas yourself up. At the end of the day, no one's going to advocate for you better than you. And no one knows you and what you've done better than you.
How are you going to do this different? So you're being intentional.
Mhm.
You're being selective. You're saying yes more, but selective, right? Let's say an opportunity comes up that you feel aligned with. How do you move forward in a different way so that you don't end up in the same place where you were, which was stuck?
That's an excellent question. And I think it's a little bit of what I just touched on. Ask the right questions so you know what you're getting into, like, to management when you're interviewing. But I think it's also try and get in. I want to speak to people who work there and see what their experiences are as well. And then I want to know, I want a really clear picture of like what my opportunities for growth are within the company, because I'm 100% of the mindset, and I've been like this for a long time, that nothing happens inside of the comfort zone. And so if you're just comfortable where you are, whether it's going to like, if you're going into a new spot and they're like, this is going to be your role and that's it, and you're not asking like, okay, well, what about XYZ? Or if in 5 years, or like, is there any plan to do this or whatever? That's a red flag. You need to have a forward thinking. Or for me, I want to see forward thinking. I want to know what their plans are for the future. I want to know how they're different from everybody else. I want to know how successful they've been. I want to see the people that are working there. I want to see if everyone's happy. I want to see what kind of quality of life. Like, I actually had I interviewed, and I had a news director tell me, and I was telling him a little bit of my story and like why I'm asking you these questions and why I'm so concerned about culture. And a lot of them get it because they're like, just in general, the industry is toxic. But he was like, that's a great question. He's like, I'll give you an example. This morning, one of my anchors called me at 4 a.m. and was like, is it okay if I leave the show an hour early, or like come an hour later, something, because my dog is sick and I have to take it to the vet? And I was like, that's a no-brainer. And I was like, really? And he was like, you sound surprised. I said, because it's not a no-brainer for every boss,
Right.
especially in New York,
Right.
in television,
No one
in
cares.
our market. They don't give a shit
Yeah.
if your dog's sick. They
Yeah.
don't give a shit if your kid's sick.
Right.
Truly.
Right.
Sorry. It's just
Yeah.
the way it is.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm looking for things like that. And I'm also looking for, I'm just, and I'm like so afraid. I'm like, I want to make the right decision, but I'm also trying not to think too hard about it. And like, I'm also listening to my gut. So I'm looking for like something that's like lighting me up, and there's no warning signs internally. And I'm like, all right, well, management seems great. Culture seems great. Seems like there's a lot of opportunity for growth. Seems like they're forward thinking. Seems like this, I spoke to another news director in a different state, and she was like, we are really hard with the company. The network has invested a lot of money into our streaming platforms. And I have this series that I'm working on, and that's my baby. And, they were looking for a host of this show. And so, like, there would be responsibilities within like your standard morning television or whatever the role was, but also like this side project. And I'm like, well, that's so cool that they're like, that you believe in something. She's like, this is Little My Baby. And I advocated, and the network is like, yeah, you know what? Because the exposure, if this is going to be on like Roku, like
Mhm.
anybody who has a smart TV, because let's face it, who has cable really these days at all? And so I just like, again, not to get too like woo woo into like
Shoppy. Yeah.
shoppy, but like just, you know, it's so cool for me to like sit on the other end of these Zoom calls and like observe them get really excited about things,
Yeah.
or like hear
Yeah.
how like, what they're doing in their community. Because that's the other thing too, is like, I didn't get into this just because I wanted to be on TV. I got into this because I want to tell stories.
Mm.
And I think that I think I have a unique ability to be able to connect with people who might not otherwise get their stories out. And they're not just in New Jersey. I mean, New Jersey's amazing. There are dope people all over the world doing dope shit,
Yeah.
to put it very, very
Dope people doing dope
dope
shit.
people doing dope shit.
Wednesday nights, 8 p.m. It's a show.
I'm like, you need to uncover these gems. Like, on my show, it was like we did fitness, wellness, there was Broadway, there was celebrity, but then there were the entrepreneurs of the tri-state area. And maybe they were some well-known companies, maybe they weren't. But there are these people who I'm like, oh my God, you deserve this platform. You deserve this voice. You deserve to have the spotlight shined on you because what you're doing is super successful and lucrative for you. Like, look at how you've pivoted. You're an inspiration to other, you know, wannabe entrepreneurs, but also like what you're doing for the community is incredible.
Yeah.
And so when I've been able to interview and see what stations are doing for their communities, like one station's like we set up shop every year on Thanksgiving, and it's like a revolving door because there's no holidays or weekends or anything. News is 24/7. So like the morning crew would be on the show, and the afternoon crew would be at the in the center of town with the tables serving Thanksgiving meals, and then they'd switch off and they'd go in, and the morning crew would come, and it's like, and I forget what they were calling it, but I'm like, that's really cool. And these are I feel like I'm going to continue to be successful because I'm going for it. I'm going to be asking the right questions, and I'm going to be making sure in every way I can, like double, triple checking that it's going to be the right fit in all those ways that I've now mentioned. And I just also think that I want to make sure that I get a quality of life as well. I love my fitness, my gym. Like I need that. That's a non-negotiable for me.
Yeah.
Working out, not to be dramatic, has probably saved my life.
I'm going to stop you there because speaking of saving your life and speaking of storytelling, all of this is brass tacks and good, but I have a sense of, I didn't see it because you hid for a little while, but I have a sense of where you were in the depths of despair for a while. And I see where you are right now. And I feel like this episode has been long enough. So I'm going to ask you to do another episode with me, and we're going to talk about how you got from point A to point B and fitness and everything in between that has got you sitting here glowing and in obviously a new space, because that is what people also need to hear. So guys, tune in for the next episode with Alex. We will be back to tell you, started from the bottom. Now we're here. Thank you guys so much for listening. I will see you next time.